Like Obama said, you guys, do not underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. Now, I'm talking about his first major speech since leaving the White House. In this speech, he took shots at the President Trump's administration, Social Security, basically saying how they're moving fast and they're breaking things, much like tech startups, shooting first and aiming later. That kind of thing. Yeah, this is what we're getting out of Joe Biden here. Now, of course, Joe Biden's speech was immediately fact-checked by the Trump administration's official Social Security X account, saying that Joe Biden is lying to Americans and providing a detailed list of facts, including that President Trump has repeatedly pledged to protect benefits and that no field office has been closed since January 20th. But really, guys, what's really making headlines right now from Biden's speech is not that, but instead the fact that he referred to black children as colored kids as he tried to explain what motivated him to get involved in politics. Sounds kind of racist if you ask me. He said learning that black children were not allowed to attend public school with white students sparked his sense of outrage as a kid. Sure. Just use black children for your narrative. And they called Trump a racist? Needless to say, a lot of people just want Biden to return to his retirement home. Either that or find the home care for cutting him loose unsupervised. Because even his fellow Democrats were not too happy about President Biden's speech. Democratic Representative Ro Khanna declined to answer whether Biden's speech would be helpful. The best he could come up with was that he hoped that the former president would advocate for due process of law, and then quickly pivoted to criticizing the Trump administration yet again. Big surprise, right? He chose probably the most tired argument against President Trump: Social Security. The people know the truth. The president is all for Social Security, for SSI, for SSDI. I mean, just a few weeks back, the Senate just passed a major budget framework for beginning the process of enacting President Trump's signature campaign pledges, including his plans to cut taxes on tips, overtime pay, and Social Security benefits. Trump said ahead of the voting that if we can get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress. Plus, where does Biden get off calling out Trump like that, right? I mean, according to a recent report, Trump has answered nearly 20 times more press questions at 3 cabinet meetings than Biden ever did. In fact, at his first cabinet meeting in almost a year, the then president turned the meeting over to his wife, Jill Biden, who was seated at the head of the table, even saying, "Hey, it's all yours, kid." Meanwhile, now President Trump, he proudly took his annual physical, including a cognitive test that his octogenarian predecessor refused to take. Now, again, according to Trump, he got every answer right. And you can't avoid it, guys. Eventually you turn 65 and you got to face the beast that is Medicare. And dealing with the government, oh my God. Yeah, not always the easiest thing, especially when it feels like big pharma and insurance companies come first, right? But there is help, thankfully, and it's called Chapter, guys. So whether it's you, it's your mom, or your dad facing these Medicare decisions, Chapter makes the whole process easier, smarter, and safer. I mean, just listen to Julie from Kansas. Her local broker scammed her into an overpriced plan. Chapter helped her fix it, and now she's saving $400 a year. Jamie from Texas, Chapter put $600 back into her Social Security check. Listen, guys, Chapter was founded by people whose own parents were victims of bad advice. They decided, hey, enough was enough, and they created a better way. They're expert advisors. They review every single plan in order to find the best fit, and they treat you like family. And the best part, guys, it's completely free. So whether you're entering Medicare, need a second opinion, or you want help for your parent. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. Chapter is here to help. So go to askchapter.org/Ron, or you can call them on the phone. Their phone number is 909-563-8279. I'll leave their link and their phone number in the description down below, maybe even in a pinned comment. Now, definitely a very sharp contrast to this guy who seemed to be getting lost in the middle of his speech. I mean, just watch how President Biden kept fading in and out here. Watch.
You gotta ask yourself. Got to ask yourself, why is this happening? Why are these guys taking aim at Social Security now? Well, they're following that old line from tech startups. The quote is, move fast, break things. Well, they're certainly breaking things. They're shooting first and aiming later. And as a result, the result is a lot of needless pain and sleepless nights. My friend Governor O'Malley knows what they're really up to. He says, and I love his quote, they want to wreck it so they can rob it. They want to wreck it so they can rob it. Why do they want to rob it? In order to deliver huge tax cuts to billionaires and big corporations and keep it going. They want to make permanent the 2017 tax cuts, which overwhelmingly benefited the wealthiest Americans and the biggest corporations. That's going to cost $5 trillion. Where are they going to get $5 trillion to pay for it? Other than continue to run the deficit up. Well, what do they always do? By running up the national debt, number one, and then by taking the money from someplace else. What are the two big pots of money out there in raw numbers? Social Security and Medicaid. Well, from other programs that people rely on and have paid into. Republicans, or these guys, are willing to hurt the middle class and the working class in order to deliver significant greater wealth to the already very wealthy. Who in the hell do they think they are? I really think just basic decency. Who do they think they are? I think anybody should go out. They can make it to $1 billion a year. They can, fine. Pay your fair share. You know what the average? We have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know the average federal tax they pay? 8.2%. Anybody want to trade that number? What you're paying? Folks, look. Let me close. I'm sorry to go on so long, but it's just... Anyway. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania as a kid, and then Claymont, Delaware.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, she was able to call it ahead of Biden's speech on both what he was going to talk about and how he was going to deliver it. Watch.
My first reaction when seeing former President Biden was speaking tonight was I'm shocked that he is speaking at nighttime. I thought his bedtime was much earlier than his speech tonight. I understand the topic of his speech will be Social Security. Let me make it very clear ahead of former President Biden's remarks. President Trump, is absolutely certain about protecting Social Security benefits for law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens and seniors who have paid into this program. He will always protect that program.
The advocates, counselors, and representatives for the Disabled Conference was billed as the 46th president's first public speech since leaving the White House. But Fox found out that Biden has delivered other public remarks since January 20th, including speaking before the National High School Model Union Nations in March, which received very little media attention, as well as joining an International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers event this month. So what does this say about the former president that he can't even get proper attention soon after his departure? So now he has basically succumbed to trying to stoke people's fears over the Social Security benefits being delayed or interrupted. President Trump's administration has cut about 7,000 Social Security Administration staffers since taking office as part of his mission to cut government fat and bureaucracy. Democrats have slammed President Donald Trump over his cuts, claiming that he's going to be cutting Social Security benefits to seniors. And that's exactly the same tired angle that Joe Biden attacked from his speech. He said that now, for the first time ever, getting Social Security checks might change and that it would be a calamity for millions of families, millions of people. You notice how he said might, right? Yeah, just proves how even he's unsure about what he's talking about. So the Trump administration's official Social Security X account quickly took to him and pointed out how Joe Biden is lying to Americans. It was a whole list of facts that they gave, including how the SSA is taking common sense steps to transform how they serve the public. Just last month, they spent over $16.5 million to modernize telephone services nationwide. They're developing cutting-edge AI-powered tools to streamline simple tasks. Also, Also, the SSA Inspector General, their report released while Joe Biden was president, found $72 billion in improper payments from fiscal years 2015 through 2022. So chew on that, Biden. Not to mention the latest raving from the former president comes as political books investigating the 2024 campaign cycle hits the shelves, including Uncharted: How Trump Beat Biden, Harris, and the Odds in the Wildest Campaign in History, and Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. Excerpt from Chris Uncharted reported that White House staffers allegedly kept Joe Biden from socializing with others, including close allies and friends, out of fear that the 46th president might say the wrong thing or might even feed the mental acuity narrative. He also appeared absolutely exhausted ahead of his ill-fated debate against Trump in June. And, well, we all know how that debate turned out. It was a complete disaster, much like how Joe Biden reminisced about seeing colored kids go to segregated schools. Here, watch.
I was a co-sponsor of the Americans with Disabilities Act as a United States Senator. In my view, and I suspect many of you, it was one of the most consequential civil rights laws in American history. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. Delaware, like Maryland, was one of those states, was a slave state. We had all the vestiges of what was going on back in the day. We were one of those states that still, I remember moving from Scranton, Pennsylvania down to Wilmington, Delaware, and Cole died. My dad moved back to where we could get a job. And I remember I pulled into, my mom would drive us on the Philadelphia Pike connecting Wilmington and Philadelphia. And we lived in an apartment complex. And she'd drive us it was only about half a mile to Holy Rosary School in Claymont. But it was so dangerous, she wouldn't let us walk up because of access road. I remember pulling into the parking lot, and I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time and I was only going in 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. They never turned right to go to Claymont High School. I wondered why. Asked my mom, why? So in Delaware, they're not allowed to go to school, in public school, with white kids, honey. That sparked my sense of outrage as a kid, just like it does. I mean, and these young kids right here can tell you things affect them when they learn about something that's really just unfair and unjust.
I mean, when is this guy just going to give up, right? It's pretty clear that he's just causing more harm than good. He's completely irrelevant. I mean, especially since every time he talks, we just get reminded of the 4 years that we had the guy in office and he just let people down. Much like some of my friends from Delaware say, Joe put the DE in delusional. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the whole thing was a complete mess. The speech got off to an awkward start. Biden took the podium. He spoke for a few seconds while his intro music, a Bruce Springsteen track, blared off in the background, pretty much drowned out his whole opening lines. Then he wrapped up his remarks. You knew he was lost because he was all like wide-eyed standing at the podium. Then he looked at both ends of the stage before identifying the stairs, ultimately pointing at them and then making his exit. I mean, seriously, it was like a bad comedy show. You know what I mean, guys? I mean, I'm not a Biden guy at all, but this is just sad. I mean, they should really stop letting this guy embarrass himself, you know? His family should be ashamed for not taking better care of him. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you guys also agree. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it, guys. But not too happy about Biden's coming back from the shadows was Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna. Just check out how he completely outright avoids the question from CNN host Jessica Dean. Watch.
I know that you have repeatedly recently said about the Democratic Party that the old guard isn't cutting it. Do you think it's helpful for former President Biden to be speaking right now?
Well, he's a former president. He certainly can speak, and hopefully he'll speak out for due process of the law. What the Trump administration is doing is unconscionable by defying the Supreme Court, by not doing anything to bring Abrego back. I mean, they sent Abrego to El Salvador and this prison. It's not that Abrego was abducted by El Salvador. They need to direct El Salvador to return him.
Now, I think it's pretty clear what Khanna thinks from what he didn't say here. News Nation political contributor Chris Cillizza actually talked about this a few weeks back. He predicted that Joe Biden would be in for a really bad 2 months period as a book likely to portray him negatively were set to be publication. Now, Biden informed multiple Democratic leaders that he would be willing to raise funds, campaign, and do whatever it took to assist the party in countering Trump. He also met with newly elected Democratic National Committee Chairman Ken Martin in February in order to offer his assistance. But as Salisa pointed out, no one's clamoring to have Joe Biden campaign for them right now. And hey guys, I keep getting messages from you guys, comments saying, hey Ron, I keep missing your videos. I keep missing the breaking news. Can you please make sure I get notified? So I've taken care of you guys. All you got to do is hit the link in the description down below this video or in the pinned comment and join the breaking news newsletter. That's it, totally free. What people are clamoring for are Trump's signature campaign pledges, including his plans to cut taxes on tips, overtime pay, and Social Security benefits. In fact, the Republican majority Senate already took a vote on the reconciliation process that would let them pass legislation with a bare majority rather than the typical 60 vote threshold that Democrats would ultimately trip them up on. Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, he laid it out for everybody. He said that the American people gave them a message and a mandate: secure borders, lower taxes, affordable energy, peace through strength, and of course, efficient, effective government. And the Senate Republicans' bold budget blueprint, it delivers. Republicans are hoping for the final passage by the end of May. The package is expected to include an extension of President Trump's 2017 law that ultimately lowered individual income tax rates, right along with an increase in the state and local tax deduction cap that was hammered high tax jurisdictions like New York. The White House also called for higher taxes on hedge fund managers and billionaire sports team owners to partially offset the tax breaks. Now, another important thing is that the framework would raise the debt ceiling by up to $5 trillion. So the Democrats won't be able to use that as leverage like they do every time. I mean, Republicans were just pretty much able to think of everything, weren't they? Now, further evidence is this new report that's showing that President Trump answered nearly 20 times more press questions at 3 cabinet meetings than Biden ever. President Trump answered nearly 100 questions from the press during his first 3 open press cabinet meetings this year. This is nearly 20 times the number answered by Joe Biden in cabinet meetings during his entire 4 years in office. So here he is talking about his physical and cognitive tests that Biden refused to take during his term. Watch this.
Good heart, a good soul. I wanted to be a little different than I took a cognitive test, and I don't know what to tell you other than I got every answer right. And I've taken the cognitive test, I think 4 times, and I've got nothing wrong. That's what the American people want. Biden refused to take it. Kamala refused to take it.
Now, like Trump said, he wanted to be a little bit different than Biden. He took a cognitive test, and according to him, he got every answer right. Now, overall, Trump said that he felt like he was in very good shape. Good heart, good soul, very good soul. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with him on that, right, guys? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments, and let me know what you guys think about this one. Also, don't forget to check out our recommended videos for more hard-hitting discussions. As always, thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. See you guys next time. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.